to submit the executive county superintendent for approval in accordance with NJSA 18A F5 and 18A 7 F6. These are indicated, the amounts are indicated in the agenda. And to advertise the tentative budget in the suburban trends in accordance with the form suggested by the New Jersey Department of Education and according to law. Be it further resolved that a public hearing on the budget for the 22-23 school year will be held in the auditorium of Kinnelon High School on Thursday, April 28, 2022 at 6 p.m. Maximum travel pursuant to New Jersey Administrative Codes Chapter 6A 23, a Board of Education must establish a maximum dollar limit for travel expenditures as defined in that Administrative Code. Be it resolved that the Board of Education includes the tentative budget of maximum travel expenditures as indicated here in the agenda. Travel-related expenses, expense reimbursement for the 22-23 school year. The Board of Education recognizes school staff and board members will incur travel expenses related to and within the scope of their current responsibilities, and for that travel that promotes the delivery of instruction or furthers the efficient operation of the school district. And pursuant to the New Jersey Administrative Code, Chapter 6A, Subchapter 7, requires board members to receive approval of these expenses by a majority of the full voting membership of the board and staff members to receive prior approval of these expenses by the superintendent of schools and a majority of the full voting membership of the board, and a Board of Education may establish for regular district business travel only an annual school threshold of 150 per staff member, where prior board approval should not be required unless this annual threshold for staff members exceeded in a given year. And travel and related expenses not in compliance with the Administrative Code Chapter 6 Alpha, Subchapter 7, be deemed by the Board of Education to be necessary and unavoidable as noted in the approved Board of Education out-of-district travel reimbursement forms. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves all travel not in compliance with Administrative Code Chapter 6A, Subchapter 7 as being necessary and unavoidable as noted in the approved Board of Education out-of-district travel reimbursement forms. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education included in the tentative budget travel and related expense reimbursements in accordance with Administrative Code Chapter 6A, Subchapter 7 to a maximum expenditure of $32,910 for all staff and board members for the 22-23 school year. The school business administrator or board secretary shall track and record these costs to ensure that the maximum amount is not exceeded. Professional services for 22-23, according to the same code 6 Alpha 23A, a Board of Education must establish a maximum dollar limit for professional services and public relations as defined by the code, and it is listed in the agenda what those maximum amounts will be. Capital reserve. The capital reserve account withdrawal required to meet the budget for the next school year will be $367,235. And it is be it resolved that the Kinnelon Board of Education requests the approval for withdrawal of this amount of the capital reserve for the budget to complete the projects as listed in the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Is there any discussion?
No.
Ms. King, will you call the board?
Mrs. Fishburne? Yes. Mr. Gertie?
Yes.
Mrs. Burrow? Yes. Mr. Petroselli?
Yes.
And Mrs. Ross?
Yes. Facilities and Security Committee?
Nothing to report this time.
Okay, we are to committee reports. Personnel.
The personnel, no, we didn't have any reports, right? So the personnel committee did meet earlier in March, and I'm just going to pull up my notes real quick. So let's give it 1 second. We talked, well, actually, so we talked about kind of open positions, and some of them that were filled in the meantime since then. We also talked about the assistant superintendent position. We decided to kind of defer that conversation until we had more information from the climate survey that went out. And there was a third item that I can't remember. Do you remember what the third item was?
No, because I took those notes out of my folders already.
Yeah, I'm not going to find those. Okay, and we talked about the non-tenured teachers and the review of the non-tenured teachers. And that was it.
Education.
Education committee is meeting next week, so we'll update soon.
Policy.
Policy did not meet. The first readings went out that we just talked about in the thing, so if everybody has a chance to take a look at those. And then Jean, if you have a chance to take a look at those, we can set up a meeting if we need to after.
Finance, we did meet, we went over the budget. We actually had a deficit, but we got more money from the state than we had expected, which was able to cover the deficit. So we were actually able to create the budget without any, well, a lot of work on Carrie's part, but we didn't have to cut anything. So it was really great news. And then that's the preliminary budget that will go to the county, and then we'll come back and brief the community on what's actually in the budget. And that's all we really met with for finance to get the budget done. Securities?
Yeah, we've been trying to schedule a meeting. We're still waiting on one outstanding thing about an easement for a family, and we still have the sewage treatment plant roof that we discussed. So we're just waiting on a couple of things, and then we're going to schedule a meeting as soon as possible.
Negotiations. Does somebody want to take it?
Yeah, I'll take it. Negotiations team met this week with the teachers, and we had a really great, productive first meeting. We exchanged our ideas about what we'd like to adapt or change in the contract, and the negotiations team is regrouping to see what we can do to help the teachers out and get the best possible contract for the teachers and the students, and maintain all the programs and all the amazing things, and maybe even grow things. So we will be meeting again shortly.
Okay, delegates. You have New Jersey School Boards Association. I don't really have anything to add to that except that there is a spring symposium workshops that will be online. So I know everybody got the emails, but they do look like there's a lot of interesting thing. And then next week there's a climate change. Actually, I think it's this week. There's a climate change. No, actually, it's next week. There's a climate change course, which I didn't have time to sign up for. And that's it that I have right now for school boards. Spro?
So the next meeting for the Morris County School Boards Association is over Zoom on Thursday, April 7th, and I'm all set up to go, so I can report back the next time we get together.
Ms. Fishman?
No relevant updates.
And Morris County Education Services Commission?
I actually wound up missing the meeting because of negotiations, so I should get they usually mail the minutes and stuff, so when I get the minutes, I'll report on it.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Okay, Community Relations Committee, Mrs. Perla.
So the Community Relations meeting that the group of us met last week, and there's lots going on in the community. I wanted to let everybody know that doesn't already know. The Kiel students made artwork for the 100th anniversary of Kinnelon, and it's on display at the library. And the Kinnelon High School students made ceramics, they made pottery, and they made paintings and pictures that are all on display at the library as well. Although I should say the Kiel artwork is in the Borough building, and the high school students is at the library. So if you wanted to just take a walk over one day when you're in the neighborhood, it would be really nice. The kids did a fantastic job on this, and they worked really hard in all their art classes. Everybody's getting excited for all the 100th anniversary festivities that are going to be coming up this spring, and we're just trying to figure out how the school is going to sit with that. I know that everybody had lots of things to report back about the schools, but I'm not going to be redundant in saying what Mrs. DiGiuseppe and what Joaquin has already said. I will just echo the sentiments of all the principals that, now that the masks are optional, there's enthusiasm and excitement in the schools, the kids are in a good mood, and lunches have resumed as normal, which seems to be, a very important part of our children's day. Also, there's some really fun festivities coming up for the spring that plan to resume in our post-pandemic world, which is really exciting. Principals are getting ready for all of the field days, which are going to involve food and ice cream and tons of activities. I think there's like a DJ at Kiel, so they're very excited about that. The 8th grade trip, the 8th grade dance, all these things are resuming. And there was just a really great sentiment about everything kind of going back to the pre-pandemic status quo. So it was a good meeting.
Thank you. KEA Teacher Liaison.
Our last meeting of the year will be on April 12th, so we'll have a report on that at the next board meeting.
Camelot.
Yeah, Camelot didn't have a meeting, but Councilman Russo did forward myself and Diane. There's a suicide prevention awareness and how to make a difference. I printed out a couple copies if anybody wants to come. I have about 5 in here, but if you want to come take a picture, it's on April 14th. It's at Essex Valley School in West Caldwell. It starts at 6:30. So you're more than welcome to come and take a couple of these or come take a picture if you're interested.
I can send out.
And Diane, and Ms. Peaches already said she's going to send something out to the community also.
And Ms. Jonas isn't here, so we'll get an update on KEF at the next meeting. Okay, that takes us to unfinished business. So our unfinished business was the COVID protocols and exclusion policies that was tabled at the last meeting. So can I have a motion to discuss the unfinished business?
I'll make the motion. I don't think you need to, but
Okay, well,
yeah, motion to discuss.
okay.
I'll second.
I've asked Kyle here in case there's any legal questions. I know there were some legal concerns about whether or not we have any liability. So the big issue is the current COVID policies that are exclusion policies with the test to stay. So currently, Ms. Dean just said we are following a test to stay for contact tracing. Is that correct?
Yes, so the CDC approved test to stay about mid-year and the Department of Health followed suit. So we give parents an option to either test to stay where their child does not have to leave the school, can stay in school, and our nurses do a rapid COVID test every 2 days. So we get written permission from parents, so no one's getting tested that doesn't want to be tested. Or students can opt to quarantine on virtual instruction, and now that would be along the lines of this reduced quarantine. So those are the options at this point. Or a parent can opt to have their child tested elsewhere. They don't have to have that in school, just for convenience.
Okay, so the item for discussion, several districts around us in the state of New Jersey are doing away with the test to stay, and they're following something similar that the Middletown Board of Ed put in place where there's no more contact tracing. So the CDC is also kind of moving away from universal testing and contact tracing in environments that do not have vulnerable populations such as senior centers and things like that. So the schools wouldn't conduct it. When I spoke with our public health officer today, he did inform me, as I shared with everybody via email from Diane, that these are recommendations. We are empowered to make our own decisions as the district, what's best for the district. He said that if you are going to stray from recommendations of the New Jersey Department of Health and or the CDC, that you really need to cite references from other authoritative bodies and or scientific agencies. I did a little research, and there are several states, Massachusetts, Vermont, Connecticut, Michigan, to name a few, that have a change of policy that is more in line with what Middletown's doing. I don't know what you would actually call it, but it's basically they don't contact trace in the schools. So if someone tests positive, they don't tell anybody. You can share that information that a kid, you are in close proximity, but there's no requirement to test. You monitor for symptoms. If symptoms present themselves, then the kids are asked to go home until they're better. And then once they're no longer ill, 24 hours, symptom-free, they can return to school. It is up to the parents to determine if they want to test their children so that they can provide the appropriate care for them based on the symptoms or whatever the test provides. So this is a move that a lot of states have already made and districts in New Jersey have made. I know Riverdale just did it themselves and they share our public health officer. So the discussion is, does our district move towards that measure? Is the board comfortable with that? I know some board members aren't. The primary concern here is we want to educate the kids